Good evening, guys. Hope you're good. Hope you've had a good Wednesday. It's been a beautiful afternoon, particularly. Wow, a lot of people sitting in the gardens and things as I went to the supermarket earlier on. And yeah, understandably so. I don't exactly know what the temperature was, but it feels like it's been a really, really nice day. We are into May, so we're well into that spring time now. So I hope you've had a good one. I hope whatever you've done today, you have been productive and it's felt like a good day rather than a day that is all about lockdown and social distancing. And there does seem to be some light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not a big watcher of the news because in the early part of isolation and social distancing, it kind of got to me and created like a big element of fear within me actually about what was going on. And I just needed to kind of be a bit more factual in the sense of what I was letting in and less kind of all the news and the Facebook and all that stuff and everyone's opinion. So just had to kind of step back, chill out a bit, and not put some of my fears onto the kids and things, which is what was happening. But we'll come on today, and I'm going to talk about training again. I'm going to get in a little bit more depth than I did the other day, because I covered a bit of nutrition and then into training. And as I was saying on Monday, it is the best activity, the best workout is the ones that you can do sustainably and that work well for your interest, focus, and then physiology, biomechanics, how you actually move really well. So I'm going to go a little bit into just some kind of overarching principles really about actual kind of training workouts and kind of my thinking when I put a workout together. I come up with a few hypotheticals of type of people that will do different sorts of workouts. The principles are all the same. Most of the time we are exercising, maybe slightly lower level activity, walking, running, bike ride that's not too strenuous, and that is for our health, maybe our cardiovascular health. It's for our general movement, general mobility, getting out and about, and particularly we've seen a lot of that during this time of social distancing and isolation. There's been the nice challenges knocking about, do the 5k for the NHS. People really getting into the running because you can get out. The weather's been pretty decent all the way through, the social times of social distancing. So people getting out and doing that, dog walking, all that sort of thing, and people just really utilising that hour of activity. And now it's been expanded a little bit, really quite well, in the sense of there's plenty of people out and about generally every time you go out, and as long as we're keeping apart, I think that's a good thing. As I was talking about, like the Joe Wicks type of thing, if people are actively seeking to get out and do something because the choice of just getting in and out the car to go to work, standing at the school gate, is not there, they don't feel like they can go out, and they're being proactive about choosing when to go out, that can only be a good thing. It's a little bit black and white, but exercise is for health and training is for change. And the reason I say that is because our bodies are really good at adapting to the stimulus we put on them. So if we only put a steady low level stimulus on them all the time, there's going to be a calorie turnover, there's metabolic turnover, glucose in our muscles, glycogen gets used up, and we have to replace that. And that's all good, that's all good. The body's going to benefit from that. Raising your heart rate, getting the circulation going, getting your breathing up is always going to have a beneficial element if that is on a regular basis. Don't know if you've ever trained for something like running or swimming or cycling. It's a kind of activity, but because our body's really efficient at doing it, to get better at it, we have to do it really, really regularly. Like a lot of runners will run and train most days. A lot of cyclists want to get out 3-4 times a week. If you're swimming, when I was swimming and swimming at a decent standard, it was 5 days a week to maintain or get better, because you've got to practice the mechanism, the actual movement. You've got to get more efficient at that, and the intensity actually on the body, was tough, but it's not as intense as maybe a resistance workout. That's not to say, we do a spin class, and I take spin class, as most of you know, a lot, and it's hard. Don't get me wrong, So I'm not saying these exercises, activities aren't hard, but generally they're kind of steady away. Hi, Ryan. And that's why we need to put the body under a different sort of stimulus to bring about different sorts of changes. Now, a lot of the time, the kind of more intense, kind of, you know, fired up Dwayne Johnson style. Come on, let's go. You know, Big Thor doing his massive deadlift at the weekend. Eddie Hall type of exercising. It seems kind of the bodybuilding, the strength stuff. You know, it's all that sort of thing. But that works on almost every level. You know, wherever you kind of step foot into the gym or approach a bodyweight workout or a HIIT workout or whatever it is, we're looking for getting at a level that's going to be a challenge and challenging enough to cause a change. So that's why, hey Sarah, that is why I could say that exercise is for health and training is for change. Now, the reason it's for change is it creates a stimulus on the body. As we use our muscles to close to a maximal potential, that creates a stimulus where the body wants to be prepared for that stimulus to come again. So, for instance, you might use the leg press. We'll use the leg press. Nice simple example. You know, a lot of people I work with use the leg press in a resistance workout. We're looking for more reps or more weight, nice and steadily over time. That's going to create more of a stimulus through the quads, glutes, hamstrings, lower body, and that's what's going to bring about the change. Now, that's not to say that has to be a crazy amount of increase week on week. We're looking for that change over time, but it's getting out of the comfort zone. Hey Gareth, hey Danny, Gareth, it's the middle name. Teacher Stealth, Facebook names. You're creating that stimulus on the body to create a change. Now, we can create that at home, and I've been through some bodyweight workouts and I've been through the band workouts online, and I've got more information of that to come. The band workout is coming. I keep saying that. It keeps moving from day to day with other things I've got to do, but it's open on my laptop. I was working on it more today. I just want to make it really good, get all the links in there, all the right videos. They've all been done for a couple of weeks. It's just putting it all together the right way for you with everything else I'm doing. So you can actually have if you've got some bands, you can actually pick up the plan, have a look at it on a device, on a computer, print it out if you want, and actually do a workout from what's in there. That's why I want to get that level of detail that was in the bodyweight workout plan that I sent out. Whichever method you choose to create a stimulus, the principles are the same. We've got to create enough of a stimulus to promote change. What also needs to be taken into account is choosing the right exercises for you. So you need to have a good idea about your movement, your mechanics, and this is where, when I'm training, working with someone, the first session or two, we'll look at what are the right exercises for that person to do in the gym, married up from their goals, what they like doing, to what their body is going to be capable of doing. I don't mean capable as in terms of want to be demeaning or anything like that, or you can't do this because you are 5'7", that's me, you know, or you're a lady so you shouldn't do heavy weights. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. It's about picking the right exercises for your mechanics. And you know, truth be told, most ladies proportionally stronger in the lower body, might focus on that more in the gym, less strong, less endurance even in the upper body, therefore probably going to be more of a 70-30, 60-40 split towards lower body training because it suits ladies really well. Then the opposite way for guys, particularly guys with goals, they want to look good up top. So you might put more of a focus on. And my thing is, you know, you guys that are training with me, I love doing legs, and I really think, you know, everyone should be training legs, even if the upper body is kind of the focus, because of some of the stimulus that it creates. When you do something like a deadlift, when you do something like a squat, when you're using a leg press, you're recruiting more muscle, you're getting the body to really work hard, if alongside looking good from your muscle training, hypertrophy, is looking good and getting rid of excess body fat, things like that, is a goal, then actually a more full body approach is better, because you're going to use more muscles, burn more calories during the session, after the session, in recovery, you know. But, you know, as a coach, as a trainer, I have to also take into account what someone's goals are and what is the right sort of session for you to do. You know, I have some guys that come to me and they do so much running, so much cycling, and they want to be doing that and progressing that to actually do too much on their legs on a Tuesday is going to stop them from running really well on a Wednesday and Thursday, or going out for that 60-70 mile bike ride that they need to do. I know these are kind of more extreme examples, but I train guys like this. And they need to have a balance in their program that means that their recovery for their parts that they're going to be using more often is good, because that's the other factor, is the recovery. So when we increase the stimulus, so if we call it out of 10, RPE, relative perceived exertion, if we take that RPE into the zone 8, 9, sometimes, very occasionally, we're going to hit 10 with a maximal sort of lift, then if we can't go into that zone probably more than 3 to 4 times a week maximum if recovery and nutrition is really good. But actually, kind of, for most people, a couple of times a week getting that stimulus is about right. So that might mean that through a week you might be steady away. We'll talk about the kind of gym side, 2 or 3 classes, 2 or 3 weight sessions. You know, maybe you guys that work with me, one with me is going to be a real push, another one spaced out, real push in between classes, walks, bike rides, running, walking the dog, all that sort of thing. It's the whole package that works together. Now, if we get into the training methodology a bit itself, I've been talking obviously about difference between males and females. Maybe it's not always the case. Then we've got to think about the different movements the body can do and what are the right exercises. And I did this a little bit with the weights workout kind of walkthroughs that I did 5 p.m. You know, that whole week I did Monday to Friday, different body parts. And I said at the time, that's not it is a way to train, is to separate all the body parts, but it's not the only way to train. Most people that I work with are busy people, you know, job, mortgage, family, lots of responsibilities. They're only going to be able to get in the gym 2-3 times a week. They can do other stuff around their life, walks, runs, all that sort of thing. Jumping into a class, because that's dead easy. Turn up, go, you're done. You know, someone else tells you what to do. You haven't got to think about it too much. That's great. But 2 or 3 workouts a week is the majority of people's best plan. You know, that's why I always ask someone at the start, be realistic. Don't tell me you can train 5 days a week when actually really it's 2 or 3, because that's fine. We can program that and work that in. It's just then we work on the same principles of hitting that good stimulus for training 2 or 3 times a week. Absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be 5 days a week. 5 days a week can be counterproductive. So that's cool. We've got that. We've nailed onto that. So then we start to think, how do we position those workouts? If someone is starting off brand new in resistance training a couple of times a week, and that's what they're going to do, a full body workout is going to be enough. And actually, you can, with the right exercises, you can cover the full body with 6 or 8 different movements. So actually the body works really in 6, maybe 7, I'll tell you what that is, 7 maximum different ways. So the body can do 7 different directional movements. So if you think into the lower body, we've got knee hinge based movements, things like squats, leg press, they are based on more on the quads. Then we've got things like deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, trap bar deadlift, hip thrust, glute bridges. They're for the hip hinge, squeezing forward. So squats goes down or leg press away. Knee movement mainly, hips working as well. And then hip hinge movement, hips going back and moving forward, depending on where the weight is, either a bar in front or hip thrust with the weight on the front. Then we've got lunges in there as well that kind of do a little bit of both, but mainly quad dominant, reverse lunge, forward lunge. You know, that's what they're going to do. There's lots of variations around those movements, and there's isolation exercises to take into account as well. But that's the lower body main movements, 2 main directions. Upper body, we've got 4 main directions. We've got upwards push, like a shoulder press. We've got horizontal push, chest press. All the angles in between are just variations of that. Then we've got horizontal pull, rowing towards us. Plenty of different exercises you probably think of to do that. Over a bench row, row machine, cable row, all those different sorts of things. And then we've got vertical pull, so pulling down. You know, so we've got a pull down machine. We can put all the different handles on that. We could pull down on bands. We can be doing a pull up on a bar. You know, all these different exercises, they come into the same categories. There's 6 different movements. And then the 7th one that's often overlooked, but we use it at this one a lot in life, and we don't realise that we're kind of doing it, is loaded carries. So carrying something, and you might have seen me do loaded carries. I might have even done it with you, carrying 2 heavy dumbbells, carrying a bar overhead, you know, different things like that. Loaded carries really, really good stimulus for the body, because we do it all the time. You know, I always have this joke that, you know, we're going to carry all the shopping in one go, but it's that kind of it's just that kind of thing, and how taxing that can be if you try and do it. You know, I've got 8 steps to the front of my house. I'm always like, can I get these 4 bags of Aldi shopping in one go? It is that little challenge, and I know it's a bit of a laugh, and it was in that Yorkie advert a while ago and things like that. But it's that sort of thing. Have you ever been to? I go to Aldi sometimes and I don't take the trolley coin. That's a nightmare. And then I go for two baskets. But as I'm carrying it around, I'm thinking, do you know what? That ain't a bad thing. I'm carrying. You know, I'm working really hard for my body, my core, my lower body's working. You think about the gym at Flax. If you've trained there, and you've got the hip mill machine, and part of that is that lifting the handles at the side and walking with it. You know, that's a farmer's walk, that sort of thing. That's the 7th different movement, and a lot of people don't do it at all, and it's a really good stimulus. You know, I see Ryan, who you're watching now, and Sarah, you've done this. Danny, you've definitely done this. I've had you in the studio carrying that bar overhead, walking up and down, getting that stability into your shoulders, the burn that it creates. You know, that's that carry, and we're working in that push direction as well. So it's picking the right movements, and I've obviously covered and talked about some movements there. So once we've kind of nailed down, we've got 6 main movements, maybe 7, then we can actually start to separate those out or keep them all together into one workout. And we can mimic this as we train at home as well. Yes, I know most people are going to struggle to train back at the moment, mainly because unless you've got dumbbells, kettlebells, bands, you're not going to be able to do a pulling motion either straight towards you, hooked under the sofa with your band, bent over row. You're not going to be able to do that unless you've got dumbbells or kettlebells. And most of us haven't got a pull-up bar. I've got one because the kids play on it, but it's actually my daughter's pull-up bar for her gymnastics. So that's there, but not everyone's going to have that. Not everyone wants to ruin the door frame by putting a bar across. Or you might live somewhere where sometimes there's those things in a park or whatever where you can go and do it on a football goal. But actually, a pull-up is actually quite technically advanced. It's hard for people to do in terms of body weight to strength ratio. So I know we can't do some of these movements at the moment, but we can do press-ups, and we can do control press-ups. We can bring the hands up higher. We can do a wall press-up. All these different movements. We can work on the upper body. We can work in the lower body. We can do our squat variations, our lunge variations. We can do our glute bridges. We can get shoulders on the sofa and do the hip thrusts. And if we've got equipment, we can start to look at doing the rows. As I say, with bands, we can look at different variations around shoulder presses, Arnie presses, Scott presses, all these different things. And then we've got a catalogue of isolation exercises. You're going to have to kind of type into YouTube maybe chest exercises, and yes, the dumbbell chest press will come up, bench press will come up, all those things. But there's so many variations that it's sometimes good to use, and sometimes it's kind of overkill to use too many. And I see there's quite a lot of people go to the gym, and because they know 25 exercises for chest, they try and do all 25 on a workout, whereas they only know 3 exercises for back. So when they go and do back or mixing it together, they only do those 3, which is cool, and hopefully over time people pick up more knowledge and know what they're doing. But it's also finding the right exercises. Obviously, someone's really tall, they're going to struggle to squat as well as someone who's quite short like me, and I take it as a great thing, someone who has long arms, a shoulder press, he's got to travel a long way, and it really can be quite difficult. Someone who is a lot broader up top, like my man Danny, is going to get a really good strong shoulder press and a really good strong bench because he's got that width and capacity to do that. And different people have different strength. We've got different physical attributes, and we tend to draw towards those as we go into training. As we start, if someone has a running physique, then they might do more running. If someone has a stocky, solid physique, they're probably going to have more of a interest and then focus onto weights. Just that sort of thing. There's no kind of one size fits all in terms of exercises and in terms of the right sort of workout. And obviously that leaves this kind of Q&A, this kind of talk a little bit open, but it's really to emphasize that you've got to pick the right things that are going to work for you. And the same with even the MW Fitness online workouts. That's why I try and give the variations, the scaling of the exercises as I go through all the workouts. We've all got different things we're good at. pretty good at press ups, and I've developed a strong core over the years. So some of the plank variations, they're working me hard, but I find them steady away. Whereas other people are like, do you know what, a side plank is horrific. I can't do it. My obliques just aren't that strong. It's not an area of work before. Do you know what, that's cool. We catch up with that over time. That's what progressive overload is. And it's not just in terms of overloading slightly more weights all the time. And it can be done in lots of different ways. Another top tip, and I know I say this a lot in the MW Fitness online workouts, is to slow the movements down, get even more controlled, slow both directions down. And we've got two directions when we train, particularly with resistance or body weight exercises. We've got the concentric, with con means contraction. So as the muscle contracts, we're doing a bunch of work. That's when the muscles are contracting and causing the movement. So for instance, in a press up, the up phase, the squeezing back to the top, is when the chest muscles are contracting. We've also got the eccentric phase, which is kind of the opposite of the contraction. It's when the muscle fibers are actually releasing, but they do that under control, because our brain tells them to not just release like that. So it's saying do the control. And if you then start to control both directions, for instance with the press up, so you're controlling the down motion as well, you're doing a good amount of work, if not more. So some studies, scientific studies, have shown that there's more work in the muscle in the eccentric phase. For instance, as you lower into a press up, steady down, you're doing as much work in there as you are on the press back. So that's why sometimes I might say in a workout, slowly down and press it out. Same with the squat. That's why I might say slowly down, steady down, 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 and then up and out, So it's creating that different stimulus by slowing down the opposite movement to where kind of traditionally you might think that's where the work goes on. Go back to the leg press example, you slow that down, the movement coming down towards you, it's going to feel a lot harder when you push it back. Not because going slow does anything magic, it doesn't. It's just a physical fact that because you have come down slowly, you've done more work already, and then you're going back. Some people, some coaches, some trainers, some people that train a lot out there will really do workouts that are really slow. I did a whole set of time, 4 weeks it was, maybe even 8 weeks, where I was working with a trainer, someone that trained me. I was already a personal trainer at the time, but he was training me, and we did what's called the super slow protocol. And that is 10 seconds up and 10 seconds down on every single exercise, on every single rep. Now you only do one set per movement, but that set might last 3 minutes. So for instance, you go onto a leg press, probably you're going with a bit less weight than you'd use if you were just going out to do as many reps as you could and just create that stimulus that way. Probably go down to about 60% of the weight, but then you're doing 10 seconds down, so the weight's coming down real slow, and it's going back up real slow. And what we found with that, and it was backed up by some research, which is why we did it, we didn't just do it because we thought that's a good idea, was that no strength was lost. In fact, strength was gained. And what they found with the research that they did was that because everything was lowering under control, the kind of muscle development, both strength and size, was as good as regular repetitions. Now, I don't tend to use 10 seconds very often. I have used it. It takes a lot of concentration on both the person counting the 10 seconds and on the person doing it, not to kind of speed up. But 4 or 5 seconds up and down, I know I've done with a lot of people, and that has a great stimulus, and it's really good and appropriate as well, where a heavier weight is going to cause unnecessary stress and pressure leading to injury, which we don't want, because we want repeatability with exercise. We want to be able to do the next workout, not just the one we're doing right now. So that sort of thing to bear in mind as we're training the way we're training now at home. And you might be like, do you know what, I can outlift these dumbbells that I've got now 6 weeks into social distancing. I wish I'd bought 5 kilos rather than 3 kilos. Totally. If you can find some 5 kilo ones, get those as well. But then just take your 3 kilo ones and use them much slower. That's what I'm saying. If they're using that example, if you then do a lateral raise with 3 kilos, up and down really slow, you're going to get a good stimulus onto the shoulders. Obviously, I know that's an isolation exercise. Start to build that into a bit more of a shoulder set, lateral raises, and then maybe upright rows, and then shoulder presses or Arnie presses, then to straight shoulder presses, you're going to create the stimulus that you need for change. So I know it's been often promised, I've over-promised and under-delivered here. The band workout and the weights workout is on the way. They're up on my computer, right? It's right here now, and they're going to work on them tomorrow and get them out, because we've got some good videos, we've got some great graphics that I already made and shared, but let's put it together into a bit of a workout plan to use now and to use in the future when the gym opens again. Even just having a good understanding of the principles. Sometimes I'm doing a personal training session and we'll just work through the exercises. There's a definite rationale and there's a definite plan for the exercises that you do. It's not just me kind of picking random things out of the exercise library of my head and what's available at the gym. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes in a sense you have to kind of go with what you can use if the gym's busy and things like that. You have to go at the moment with the equipment you've got, the space that you've got, and all that sort of thing. But the rationale is do the big muscle movements, the 6 big movements, and then work the additional exercises, isolation moves around that to keep a good tension onto the muscles that you are working, and doing the right exercises for you personally. And it takes a little bit of trial and error, and it takes a little bit of kind of, I like that one, I don't like that one, that sort of thing, and having a good open dialogue with your coach if you're training with someone, with your trainer, or a bit of trial and error yourself. Last thing is that I often hear this phrase of I need to change my exercises really regularly because of my body gets used to it. We don't get used to it in that sense. We get used to it if we used the same weight for 3 months, 2 months, and didn't ever increase what we were trying to do. We don't have to increase the weight. As I've said, we can change the speed. If we don't change the stimulus, then our body gets used to it. We just change the stimulus. Sometimes that's increasing the weight. Sometimes that's doing more repetitions. Sometimes that can be slowing things down or putting exercise combinations together like supersets and trisets. So there's a whole range of ways to increase the stimulus on the body without increasing the weight necessarily, but that is one way to do it. This whole kind of change your exercises regularly partly is good if you get bored quickly of what you're doing and you like the change to experience a new program and a new set of exercises. That's cool, totally fine. But the concept of change your exercise every time you train came from Shaun T and his Insanity workouts. Their marketing was all based around this phrase of muscle confusion. You've got to confuse your muscles. You've got to do something different every time you switch on the TV and put the DVD in, as it used to be, or load it up on YouTube, or get it up on, obviously now Beachbody paying loads of money to be on there. That's absolutely fine. Do a different workout all the time, but it's not necessary. It's not a magic thing that needs to be done, is to change the exercises every time you train. You could choose 5, 6, 7 exercises for life and just get better at doing those exercises. That would work, and some people, they've got that kind of mentality and dedication just to a set format and improving those exercises. That's absolutely fine. Most of us need a little bit more change and variety and have to work around the fact that we can't do the exact same exercise every time we go to the gym or whatever, because someone else might be using the bench, the squat rack, the Smith machine, the dumbbell that we want to pick up. So that's why some of the variations come in, particularly when I'm training with someone, and particularly when you like to have that variation, that's fine as well. So I hope that's been a bit of an insight into some training methodology, not necessarily just for now, but for back into the gym in the future weeks and months. And as I said, bands program, weights program, I'm going to be getting those finished. I want to make them really good and get them out to you in the next few days. So look out for those. As always, any questions about anything, training, health, nutrition, well-being, send them my way. Drop me a comment, send me a message through whichever channel is good for you. And I'll do my best to answer those. So I hope you're having a good week. I hope you've got up to Wednesday already. Bank holiday on Friday. Looking forward to that VE day. Going to do a special workout in MW Fitness Online based around 75, 7 and 5. That gives you an idea. 7 sets, 5 times round, 7 exercises, 5 times round, we won't make the times too long. Obviously, a workout will go on forever. So yeah, looking forward to that. So that'll still be on Friday morning. Still be the workouts tomorrow. 8 a.m. stretch, 6 p.m. lower body and glutes. If you've got a resistance band, get that ready tomorrow night, and then Friday morning, and then obviously Saturday morning as well. Boot camp, probably even more appropriate, recognising and celebrating VE Day, 75 years of VE Day. So yeah, we'll make a little thing around that this Friday and Saturday. So have a good one. Any questions, fire them my way, and yeah, catch up. Speak to you soon.